You. Time to bring in Teslin Figaro, the Straight Shot, No Chaser podcast, and May Mailman, former Trump White House attorney. Teslin, listen, this for me is a lot of fun. I'm just curious, what's your take on what we're seeing so far in Iowa? Does anybody really have a chance to catch the former president, or is this basically a race for second?
Well, I think it's a race for second, but as long as Ramaswamy doesn't start rapping at the table, he wants to be a rapper. So as long as he doesn't start rapping, he probably has a good chance to be heard. But it's going to be interesting to see, who will continue to follow the lead of those who say that abortion should be left up to the states, or those who say it should be a federal ban, or to see if people are going to fall in line with what former President Trump has had to say. So I really do believe, I think most of us think that it is who's going to be second. Who is it that is really going to have to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump? And Iowa is the place to see, where that all starts. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how it all works out. As soon as we get through with the holidays, we'll have an opportunity to see how it lands.
In case you missed Tez's reference there, Vivek rapped a little Eminem earlier in the campaign season. He does like to do that, apparently. May, I saw that billboard. I thought it was pretty effective by the DNC. It may or may not be true, probably not true, and yet it's an effective tactic. How much will that stick, do you think, on Republicans in Iowa?
So at the primary stage, they almost seem to be boosting Trump. And I don't know whether that's going to be their tactic. Iowa does have a more evangelical voter. These are people who voted for Ted Cruz the last go around in 2016. So I don't think that they are wasting their money. The Democrats want to run against Trump, so they want to paint him both as an extremist, but an extremist that evangelicals might like. So it's a double whammy for them. And yeah, it might work in the primaries. Trump is obviously already ahead, and Trump has distanced himself from abortion more than any candidate. I mean, he sounds positively pro-choice these days, so it is a misleading ad.
Yeah, I think he will be that way, too, if he is the party's standard bearer, and for good reason. I want to follow up, May, and then, Tez, I want to get you to weigh in on this Elon Musk tweet. To call it disturbing might be the understatement of the week. It was certainly off-putting for many, including many corporations. What do you make of it, May? What was he... I guess the question is, what was he thinking, and how much does this kill or hurt his brand?
Yeah, so I guess I was not as scandalized by it because I have a recent memory of the Anti-Defamation League defining racism not as discrimination based on race, but instead as a hierarchy where whites are above marginalized people of color. And so I think what Elon Musk was saying with that liking of the tweet and sort of promoting that tweet was to the Jewish community: if you are trying to push a racial hierarchy, which the Anti-Defamation League is trying to push a racial hierarchy, don't be surprised when people believe you and find a racial hierarchy and act accordingly. So I don't think it was artful necessarily, but I do think that pointing out that the Anti-Defamation League's definition is harmful to everyone, but also harmful to the Jewish community.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. Teslin, in the last 20 seconds or so, your reaction?
Well, I mean, who has Elon Musk not offended? When he first took over Twitter, that's why I went down 60% in stock. For as far as my community is concerned, anti-black racism tripled, under his watch. So again, nobody is, at least for me, I'm not confused about any comments that he's made or any comments that he has supported. I don't even really take Twitter seriously anymore, to be honest with you. It's been a dumpster fire, since the day he's taken over from every way possible. But again, this is what folks said they wanted. They wanted free speech. They wanted the ability for people to kind of get on a platform and say whatever. So this is the result of that. You have free speech, and this is what it looks like, and it doesn't always land well in particular communities.
10 seconds apiece. I would be remiss if I didn't share this letter to America that's getting a lot of talk here today. Why Osama bin Laden's letter to America went viral on TikTok. for some, a big part of bin Laden's justification, American support for Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories in what the UN deems a violation of international law, resonates with what's going on now in the Middle East, leading them to renew calls for a Gaza ceasefire. The letter also accuses the U.S. of hypocrisy for allowing Israel to occupy Palestinian territories for decades in disregard of UN law and for violating its own law by imprisoning people in Guantanamo Bay without charges or trials. I know 10, 15 seconds is unfair, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Tez, then May, wrap us up.
Well, I'm a veteran, so, obviously I'm not sitting there taking advice from, bin Laden. I don't even understand, why that's even a thing. I know there are some folks that certainly agree with his position, but the simple fact that, it was pushed out on TikTok, I think the larger question is, again, what do we allow to go on these social media sites? What's misinformation? What's not? What type of anti-hate, does it spew? Because, again, we're talking about a man that was totally okay with, bombing and killing American citizens. So whether people agree with his position or not, he's certainly not the messenger, in my opinion, that should be having this conversation.
May, your final thought.
Yeah, so I think everybody's pointing their fingers at TikTok, but I think that that's a little bit of a scapegoat. Obviously, we can ban TikTok, but TikTok filled a void, and that void is a lack of patriotism, a lack of patriotic education, a lack of institutions that teach us Western values. And so we should think about filling that void in addition to banning TikTok and asking for their algorithm.
May and Teslin, thank you so much, ladies. Have a great Friday night. We appreciate your time.